In this video, I'm going to show you top 10 ways that you can put your Google Analytics for data and reports to use to better understand your business and to improve the performance of your website, but only if you're using Littledata Tracker to send Shopify events to GA4. I'm going to start with source medium customization. That's practically solving all the problems of external apps or any other identifiers that can help you better understand where a purchase came from and put them into the well-known format of source medium. You can practically take any sales channel or payment gateway or any order tag whatsoever and put a condition saying if a sales channel is TikTok with a particular identifier here, you can apply source to be TikTok and the medium to be app, and then you can even put in some campaign UTMs as well. Now, when you put this to work in a practical example of tap card, here, not only we shown how much revenue has this external application brought to our website, but we also calculated return on non-Google ad spend by importing this data, and there is also help article on our website about how you can import the Shopify app cost example, more on the import of costs of external advertising platforms in subsequent examples. So let's move on to the item number 2, which is recurring subscription. As you may know, Littledata will track not only what happens in a session, but also sessionless charges of somebody's credit card, which practically is subscriptions, and send them to your GA4 enriched with a lot of data. But we're going to start with the simple ones, saying that you can compare how much revenue you have gained from recurring subscriptions compared to all users. Not only that, you can compare recurring subscription orders and the revenue with the first order subscriptions, but it's not about counting the revenue and the basic metrics itself. It's about being able to apply dimensions and break down this revenue and the purchases themselves, in this example, by first user source medium. So you can say that this channel was to be credited for 3 recurring subscriptions that happened during this period. Obviously, this account is super young, so we don't have a lot of data here, but after using Littledata for, let's say, 6 months or a year, you see very interesting data points in these columns here, because you can track what was the first user source medium when somebody subscribed and how much revenue did they bring in the upcoming period. Next, I wanted to point your attention to product conversion rate. We also have a help article covering entirely that topic here with how do you set it up and then ways to measure these things, with scatter plot, which is, by the way, my top underrated GA4 reporting format. But going back here, you can see how many times a particular item has been viewed and then bought to seen, which is, practically item conversion rate. It's just, let me show you how these have been calculated. So bought to seen is number of items that have been purchased divided by sum of all item views on a PDP or in a list or in a promotion, and just times 100 because we wanted to show them in the percentage format here for, easier comparison. The next item on this list is true channel return on investment, or maybe even more granular, true campaign return on investment. And we are here in the conversion performance report of advertising section of GA4. And as you can see, this brand has a lot of Meta paid social different campaigns. And you can see the return on ad spend because they imported Meta cost to this GA4 account. Now, obviously, if I sort this by ad clicks, I guess we're going to see some Google CPC and also Instagram paid social. But the point is that if you import cost of your advertising efforts and combine it with 100% of revenue that Littledata ensures that you receive in your GA4 for your Shopify store, you will see the exact return on ad spend, not just an approximation, because practically we are dealing with 100% of the revenue being present in your GA4. Next, I want to bring your attention to the attribution dimensions, which also shine when you have 100% of revenue present. Now, in the dimensions slider, you have the attribution section at the top here, and within you can see all these dimensions that have no prefix, neither session source medium nor first user source medium. It's just source medium without prefix, and it's actually Google's best shot at attributing your revenue. And you will see when we compare session source medium, which is, the last non-direct click, and how much revenue did each of these channels bring to the table, when you look at it from the attribution dimension, which is source medium, you have a different picture slightly. So you get, how much Google thinks that each channel or each source medium combination, which I'm referring to as channel, how much each one of these has brought to your bottom line when they take into account first user touch points, last user touch points, but also all the touch points in the middle that are available. I strongly encourage you to do this for your own website context and in your own GA4, and see what's the difference between the session attribution and the attribution dimension being credited for each sale. I also want to bring to your attention that Littledata can help you answer the question which products, if purchased first, bring in the highest LTV customers. So which products are, the best icebreakers, not only to create that first order, but also to compare how does each product being contained in the first order, how does that trickle down in your lifetime revenue of a particular customer. GA4's missing link in this case is the purchase count Littledata, which is the proprietary Littledata parameter that's being attached to each order, and you can surface it in your GA4 explorations. It's explained in detail in this help article, and I strongly encourage you to go ahead and try it. Now, we've been super positive so far, but when you think about the negative aspects of dealing with Shopify e-commerce, refunds probably are high up on that list, and Littledata can help you tie a particular refund with the source of traffic and all those interesting dimensions that are tied to the purchase that has unfortunately ended up in a refund. So you can, for example, if you have a lot of affiliate marketing in place, you can understand which affiliates are bringing actual revenue versus which ones are just unfortunately ending up in a lot of refunds happening, practically meaning that you're paying this affiliate fees for something that you have to give the money back for products that are not wanted. Also, a step-by-step procedure is explained in this help article, and I'm not gonna go into it, but I'm just gonna point your attention to that it's possible to track your refunds and identify which channels. For example, also influencer campaigns, if you're doing a lot of them, you can see how much revenue they bring in terms of lifetime customer value, but also which ones unfortunately induce a lot of refunds. Here we are looking at the Okendo reviews, but this is applicable also to all the review platforms that you have integrated with your Shopify. You can practically measure the effect that more or less positive or negative reviews, or even longer explanations, and all these details that describe the reviews themselves, you can measure what they do to your bottom line. We also have the accompanying video here, and just unhumble brag. I made this video, but practically you can set up your reports to measure how do your reviews affect your bottom line. And last but not the least, I want to show you again another video that I created, but you can analyze the A/B tests and how they perform, not only in terms of the hard metrics such as revenue and purchases, but also the behavior of, control and test segments on your website. How do they behave even in the longer time frame, and how do they perform not only in the session where they have been shown, A or B, whatever hypothesis you've been testing, but also in the longer context, so to speak, to understand how does that affect your customers, especially if you have products with a longer sales cycle, right? So here we are at the end. I've shown you top 10 things that you can do with your GA4 reports to understand your website better if you have Littledata Tracker sending Shopify events to your Google Analytics 4. And I hope this has been helpful, and that you will put at least one or two or even more of these pieces of advice into action, and I'd be happy to hear back, did it work for your particular brand?